Hello guys, today's topic is about loneliness and how philosophers deal with their loneliness. So I found 5 ways that a philosopher deal with his loneliness. So first, accept that is hard but it has its upsides. So it was given by Arthur Schopenhauer and he was a very lonely man in his adult life. He didn't have close family nor close friends. Once upon a time, he offered a flower to a girl he liked, but she rejected it and told him that she felt very creeped out and she didn't like him. So he was very lonely in his adult life, but he knew the importance of human relationship and how being alone pulled that feeling of being loved and liked. This feeling is given by God, he said. This feeling of being loved and liked is given by the gods. When you are lonely, these feelings are pulled from you, taken from you, and it is the worst rejection you can have on your feelings. But he said, being not alone is also not that great. To enter a society or to enter a group, you have to leave your large parts, the part which makes you unique behind, or you have to cut that part off of you to just enter or to be accepted in a society. You have to wear a mask and leave the important part, the unique part behind of you. For his view, neither being alone was bad, because you can have your own individuality, and for not being alone, you have to wear a mask, but you will have the gift of God where you will be loved and liked. So this is the first way. Accept that it is hard but has upsides, where you can see the both negatives and the positive of it, and you have the decision to make that work. Second advice, loneliness as a necessary sacrifice. Friedrich Nietzsche. Friedrich was a lonely man in his lifetime, adulthood life. He had some few friends, he had some few close relatives, but he recognized the importance of being lonely. He felt when you are alone, you have an freedom of individuality and you have a power which is taken away from you if you are not lonely, or you are in a group or society where people needs your constant attention and you have to give your constant energy to them. So you can't think freely. You have some boundaries in a society where you think, but being lonely can give you the freedom of individuality, and you can find your personal opinions, personal thinking, your originality will be given back. This And he said, being alone doesn't mean you have to deny everything, or you have to say, or you have to resist everything. He means that you have to hold your ground, to have your own individuality to a certain stage. You have to draw a line where your individuality is your priority, your originality is your priority. And he also told, he knew that being alone will be a lonely and a long road, and there will be a price to pay, and that will be human closure. But this will give you the gift of, owning yourself, being very knowledgeful of your personality and your originality, your thinking. So he thought, yes, being lonely is painful. For not being lonely, we have to indulge in a group or society that will lose ourselves from nature. It was not worth it. Frederick told that when you lose your originality, it is never worth it. When you have your originality, your freedom of thinking, it will be worth it. Third point is alone without loneliness. This advice is given by Stoic philosophers, where they say our fate or our emotions are in more control than we think. As people nowadays think that they can't control their emotions, or the emotions are beyond their control. But Stoic says no. Stoic says we can see loneliness from two perspectives. First perspective of being rejected by a fellow man, where you feel you are rejected by a society or a group of people. So this will affect you very badly, both mental and in psychological, both mental and for physicality also. You will think अगर you indulge in bad things, या फिर you do some bad things for your physical self, you can harm yourself physically, and if you are not harming yourself physically, mentally तो effect पड़ ही रहा है. Secondly, so this kind of perspective is bad, where you are rejected by a fellow man. Second perspective, which is the Stoics' advice, is, or we could see a chance to know ourselves better. Our betterment will be our priority if we are alone, which is great for us. So it is better to make peace within yourself, so you will never be alone. Stoic philosophers says that being alone is okay if you see it as a chance, or you see yourself growing with it. It is great for you, and it is always better to make peace within yourself rather than making peace with everyone else. If you make peace within yourself, you will never be lonely again. And the fourth advice is the pleasuring of the solitude. It is given by Michel de Montaigne. He says that solitude means loneliness. He says solitude is a tool. If you use that tool, solitude means loneliness, by the way, and if you use solitude as a tool and use it in a correct way, so it will help you to grow massively. It will help you for your personality. It will help you for your thinking, originality. Originality and freedom are the main expression of loneliness. When you are lonely, you are free from the society's pressure, or the group's pressure, or the surroundings pressure. He says solitude can be used as a tool, and it can give you good benefits when used correctly. When it is used correctly, it can give you good effects. So he knows the world have a real face where people are backstabbing everyone for their for their self-interest. And I don't say it is bad. I say people always, people will keep them as a priority. So he says solitude will give you some rest from this type of world. अगर आप solitude में हो तो you'll know कि हाँ बाहर people are running a rat race, लेकिन आपको उस चीज़ का प्रेशर नहीं होगा. Lonely हो, you can now when you are in solitude or lonely, so you can do one thing, you can grow yourself. So this was a tool he was talking about, the growth. You can use solitude to increase your growth from everyone else. Lekin if you don't use solitude as a good tool, then it was never worth it. You were just there with yourself, a bad company. When you're not doing anything, you are just bad company to yourself. So the loneliness or the solitude was the waste of time. He recommends to use the solitude time to make the best version of yourself and re-enter the world as the best you could be. In solitude, you can grow yourself massively as a person, as a thinker, as just a human. Physicality से लेकर mentally and every other thing you can grow when you're alone. You don't have the public or this societal pressure on you. The fifth point is a bare necessity. It was given by the Blaise Pascal, who was a mathematician as well as a philosopher. So he said, as human, every person have some problem, some fears, and something they fear a lot. And what do people do? People are tend to get distracted by the social company they have, the company, the friends they are hanging with. So he doesn't say it is bad, but it is a potential danger to the person. In short term, yeah, he'll feel good, he'll feel that dopamine in his body, but in a long run, after some time when he will be in his deathbed, he'll think, I had some chance, I had time to be alone and think what I did. तो अगर मैं वो कर लेता, I would have been free from my mind. I would have done something better. He says the inability to sit in a room and in a quiet room, the inability to sit in a quiet room and think is what people are losing when they are distracting themselves from loneliness. Sometimes loneliness can heal you. Sometimes loneliness can show you a mirror where you can change yourself, change your personality, change your thinking, and grow as a person. Change doesn't mean you have to change in a good way. You can be morally correct. Slowly but steadily, you will know something which you didn't know about yourself back when you started. So yeah, these 5 points are the way a philosopher will deal with loneliness. Most of the philosophers you'll see, they see loneliness as a second perspective. The philosopher is generally saying the loneliness can be handled by working from your brain or dealt by working from your brain. If you think, if you see how you observing and thinking are a crucial part of never being lonely. Sometimes being lonely is great. You'll think, you'll see, you'll know how people think, and you will have some time to think yourself how you are growing. So I feel, yeah, loneliness is important sometimes, and when it is at extreme stages, where extreme stages you need help, so you should tell your friends, families. Being open doesn't mean you are weak. So yeah, and a general loneliness can be handled by thinking logically or learning something new. So yeah, this is the topic of loneliness and how a philosopher will deal with them. Thank you.